Shut up and sit down.
Hello guys, this is Andy from Big Mac's Workshop and Painting Studio, and yet another White Dwarf first look. Now, before I get into that, I want to make our apologies. We are still here, we are still working stuff behind the scenes, but as you can imagine, we've got other things that we need to take care of as well, such as Games Day, which is coming up in the next couple of weeks, so we'll be making video footage of that as well, so that's going to be something really interesting for you to have a good look at for those who can't make it. So here we are, White Dwarf, May 2018, and it is got the new Sea Elf dudes on it, the Enough Deepkin, which I've been privileged enough to get down to Warhammer World recently and have a good look at these figures, and they are gorgeous. Would make some really cool Exodites themed armies if 40k is your stick and you've been looking into doing something like that. So as always, nice thick weighty White Dwarf, and apparently it has a free game in it, which we'll get to at the end. This is the first time we've opened this, so let's get into the meat and veg. As always, we've got the White Dwarf team and the a bit of a waffle by the editorial team talking about who and what the Enough Deepkin are, which I'm sure some of you guys are interested in. I like them on a miniature perspective, and but I've no real knowledge of anything Age of Sigmar. So it looks like we've got some very cool looking armies in this White Dwarf, and obviously it looks like we've got a battle report of 40k, which is the defense of Drevaris, which is Tau versus Space Marines, which could prove interesting. And always you've got the heavy metal master classes, which will be teaching you to do various different effects. So there we go, got some information about the Enough Deepkin guys. Including their personal terrain piece, which is a ruined pirate ship, which looks awesome. I ain't gonna lie, that does look really good. And something very Terry Pratchett, the flying sea turtle thing. I'm just hoping someone does a conversion with elephants and a Discworld on it, because that would just be hilarious. Then you've got these blind elf dudes with some kind of great axes and bows, and some of them are swords. Could make some interesting conversion pieces for Dark Eldar if that's more your kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm talking from a 40k perspective because that is mainly what I play. And here we go, some more stuff about the individual figures themselves. You've got the Enough Deepkin Isharan Tidecaster, which I am going to hazard a guess is that dude there, and the Soul Scryer, which is the guy next to him. Now these are their character kits, and the level of detail on them look like some kind of crazy seahorse / aquatic dragon mount. Again, the possibilities with such a fig is absolutely endless. You could do some really cool conversion work with them, or if you're an AOS player, then you've got some very cool options to look into. The Soul Render retails at £15. The Lotan Warder of the Soul Ledgers, which is that one, I think, is 20. The Mathlorn is the big guy, which is 55, 65 even, and it looks like the cavalry guys are about £20 each as well. And obviously the Shipwreck, which is 25 in UK. Then you have the Cavalry, which is the Achelian Cavalry. I think I pronounce that vaguely correct. Would make nice jet bike sort of figs for Exodites. and obviously you can make a very cool sort of Viper or a Venom using the larger one. They ain't cheap, but then again it's Games Workshop, so that's not going to be of any surprise to anybody. And they are 30 and 27.50 respectively. And the big thing, the giant sea turtle, is £70, so that's a big old kit. No doubt you'll have all kinds of spare bits just to play around with. Plus they've also brought out some new paint to match their new sort of colour palette, which is the sort of greeny flesh colours. Sort of like the old pallid flesh sort of tone, or the if you further back you can go to some kind of zombie-like colour. But there you go, that's their section. So 40k, something that makes a bit more sense to me. We've got pre-orders available for Death Watch. This weekend on the 5th of May, and Harlequins, which are pre-order available on the 12th, and the Death Watch Codex is available on the 12th of May, and the Codex Harlequins is available on the 19th. Now, for those of you who are going to Warhammer Fest, they will be fully aware that is the weekend is that weekend. So Codex Death Watch is going to be a huge part of Golden Demon this year, I believe. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff out there. And I can't say for certain, I'm not a fortune teller, but I reckon there's going to be a lot of stuff available for Death Watch in the near future. And obviously we've got some more terrain, which is the Eldar Wraithgate thing, which looks interesting. It's very sort of... It reminds me of the Portal Watches in the Never-Ending Story, when Atreyu walks through the Sphinx of things. It reminds me of something like that. That could be interesting to paint. You get some really cool effects on that thing, I think. And we've got some more Blood Bowl. Here we go, Blood Bowl. So what we got? We've got some more Blood Bowl stuff available. So it looks like we've released the Blood Bowl team now, which is standard Blood Bowl team price at £20, and the Chaos pictures and dugouts as well. So I do like a bit of Blood Bowl. I need to get my team done, but hey, can't get everything done all the time. And more on Necromunda, which is House of Ansar this time round, and the Gang War 3 book. They're all available now on pre-order, and they are due out this weekend. So all you Necromunda fans out there, if you've been waiting for this, not long to go now, mate. And Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is getting a new edition. I spoke to the guys last year about it, and we had a bit of an interesting chat. And they moved away from what they were saying to me was that they moved away from the tabletop style edition, what was the current one, going back to more like the first and second edition, which is a more along the lines of a classic role-playing game rather than tabletop figures. So fingers crossed, we're going to get a good edition, because second edition was superb. And computer game, it's they're talking about early access on Steam, and you can be a Titan. It's Titan Legions. It looks like a very sort of similar engine to Battlefleet Gothic, which will work better for this because obviously Battlefleet Gothic should have really had a three-dimensional aspect to it, whereas in Titans you're going to be roaming around on the floor, so it's going to be the third dimension is going to be less relevant. So that looks very cool. I'm going to have to try and get hold of a copy of that before I can have a look. That is called Adeptus Titanicus. And obviously a bit of an advert about Forge World Termite. Forge World again knocking stuff out of the park with their really cool figures, and that is a deep striking, for want of a better term, transport for the Imperial factions of 30k. So we have now got the Black Library section. So The Horus Heresy featured book is out on the 19th of May, which is Wolfsbane, which the artwork on the front depicts a very cool fight between Horus and Russ, which I am never sure actually happened in any of the fluff what I've ever heard, but hey, it's an excuse to Primarchs over scrap, so I'm down with that. Obviously, you've got some more, plenty of other books to work through from Black Libraries. Too much to go into totally. Here we go with contacts from the GW fans. Hats off to everyone who's managed to get themselves in there, because getting into a White Dwarf isn't always the easiest of things to do. Oh, now we're talking about October 2006 White Dwarf, which would have been 8th edition fantasy, if I remember rightly. It might be 7th edition. And here we go. Some old school stuff. Proper Bretonians and Tomb Kings. And lots of figures I remember from my time playing the old fantasy sections. Tau Empire. Fairly recent to the Xenos factions, as you know. Back in the day, not one of the newest of the factions. The first Xenos faction to be released in a long time. And now we're talking about how to get started with a Tau Empire army, which, to be honest, pretty much consists of suits of various types, and have at it with the shooting phase. A bit of a discussion about where they came from with the birth of the concepts of the Arden of Deepkin, and how they got into that sort of theme. Now they've got a really cool aquatic sort of theme going on. Some very interesting poses. You could get a lot of really cool sort of working with these. Obviously, they're going to lend themselves best to Eldar of various kinds, but those of you with know-how can do pretty much what you want. I even suppose you could do a very cool Tzeentch or even Slaanesh themed Warriors of Chaos army using these figures. So you've got a lot of options with them. I do like their sea dragon looking things. They do look very, very cool, so I may well have to pick one up at some point, if the wife will let me. And a bit more of an in-depth look in the continuing of the Arden of Deepkin. So there you go. You've got a big section now on the Deepkin itself. So now on to the heavy metal section. Talking about painting markings on monsters and creatures. Now, the markings what we use here, I believe, could be very, very similar techniques used in doing lightning. So those of you who use lightning effects, Night Lord players, or people who want to use fancy power swords, whatever you, could get a lot of benefit out of reading through this. And I will definitely having a good read through this particular core splatter myself to get some tips and hints on how to get the natural looking shapes looking right. And Admech, that's a big old army of Admech. What's that? 3 knights plus Call and all his mates. Whew, that's a whole lot of points there. Jason Lee, the owner of this army, is he believes he's got around about 20,000 points painted, which is a lot. As my Dark Elders army is 4k, and that's not all fully painted. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff. Some nice OSL on his base in there. Some really cool looking bases. I do like his colour scheme. The orange and the white really works well together. And some knights with a bit of a whatever the Skaven Screaming Bell alternate kit is. Plague sensor thing. It looks like it's that strapped to the end of the barrel of a gun. So you've got a very interesting looking close combat weapon arm. And it's got his colour palette for whatever, for anyone who's wanting to emulate this particular colour scheme, got a full colour palette of it as well. The Winners Challenge. Now this was something what was introduced to myself and Dodge last year, where they got the winners and runners-up all together to paint some kind of figure for a challenge to be featured in White Dwarf. Now Dodge was given the option of doing this, but he didn't have the time. And, well, no, I wasn't, as I didn't qualify. But, obviously, as you can see, there is some absolute beauties on here. These were all inspired by, this was all asked for personally by GW from the winners of the Gold Demon Awards. So anyone who qualified in the top 3 of any category got offered this opportunity. And as you can see, there is some absolute belters here. It's a very nice looking Necromancer from one of the Youngblood entries. Some really cool skewered Nurglings. Looks like it's got some kind of weird kebab thing going on. Oh wow, Ambers. This piece in particular, wow. The use of colours in there. That is some beautiful stuff. Not too heavily converted, but the colour choices are really vibrant, really work. Make the that pink stands out really nicely against the blues. And now we're getting to adverts. So you've got the Harlequins and the Death Watch, which are going to be massive features for this White Dwarf, as you can understand. For this next few weeks is going to be very busy for Harlequin and Death Watch players. So obviously we've given you the start collecting ideas and things. So onto the battle report. We have an end-to-end battle, which is a Crucible of War Blitz mission, if that's for those of you who are interested. And it looks like it's a 2-on-2, which is really cool. Rather interestingly, they've done something what I haven't seen done in God knows how long. It's hidden deployments, which you can see in this picture just here. It's something what myself and some of my friends used to do when we were kids. We'd deploy our army completely hidden from our opponent's view, and then when you open up you realise how messed up you are because you've put all your defensive guns in a completely wrong space, etc, etc.
Andy,
yes?
We should do that on our first Necron battle report. Hide all the Necrons and have them come from the Tomb World.
So Dodger just suggested we do that for our first Necron battle report, and I'm totally in agreement. That would be absolutely brilliant fun. So watch this space when we do get around to doing them battle reports, which we will be doing. I keep promising you this, but we will do them. That could well feature in some of them. So it's a power level 154 versus 152, which in real money works out about 3,000 points each, if I haven't missed my guess. So it's Ultramarines and Silver Skulls versus Xenos, all Tau. Happily no Roboot Gilliman, no Primarchs or anything like that, but there's obviously going to be some pretty tasty stuff on there. Plenty of Primarus Marines. looks like it's all Primaris Marines. No regular Marines on there, which is interesting. Yep, all Primaris with the appropriate stuff, and a hell of a lot of Crisis suits and a Storm Surge as well. Looks like a pair of Riptides and a Ghost Kill, so plenty of guns on the side of the Tau. I'm just going to flick through this so we don't go too much into it. I don't want to spoil the battle report for anyone, because I've not read it and I'm sure you'd rather read it yourselves rather than me just tell you what's going on. So, fast forward to another battle report, which is Nagash and the new Sea Elf dudes. So we have the big man himself, Nagash, and let's see, there is a vampire on some kind of big monster thing. I'm not sure what that is though. The Terrorgeist, how much I do know. I can't find it on his army list. That's because I don't play Age of Sigmar though. And you've also got on the side of the Sea Elves, two of the big turtle dudes, and the obvious uses of the main characters as well. And it's another end-to-end battle. Loads of cool terrain. That particular one, what we saw in the last month's terrain with the puddle of the River of Souls ploughing through. So again, I'm just gonna flip through it so you can have a good look at the photos. But I'm not going to talk too much about it because, hey, no spoilers, eh? And the advert for the entire range, which is quite interesting as they have a lot of stuff available to them for a brand new faction. That's a big release. So now we're talking about the Hall of Fame, which again is the designers and such who like to talk about their petitional, that's not even a word, specific choices, what should have models, what should be into the Hall of Fame. And they have chosen the new Archaon model. Now I can partially agree with that. The actual rider himself, Archaon, I believe is absolutely stonking. I'm not keen on his Chimera Drogo. I prefer the guy on the horse, but that's me. I don't think there was a real need to change his mount. Obviously, just scale up a bit, but that's my opinion, not everyone else's. It is a nice fig, but I just think his horse was cooler. So, Tale of Four Warlords. So, the ongoing saga of the Beast Claw Riders, Nick Baton, the Daughters of Cain, Marathi included, by Andy Keddy, Jez Bickham's Nurgle Infestation. I hope that clears up for him. And Anthony Saliba's Legions of Nagash, with the Forge World Morgul, which I've actually seen used as a demon prince, which is quite interesting. So, talking about Jewels of the Crystal Labyrinth, which looks like it's a free game for this White Dwarf, so it's everything you would need to play this game. I do like it when we bring games out for in White Dwarf. It's really nice to see that we are continuing to do something from a long time ago. Some more rules for Necromunda. So yet again, more rules. It's an ongoing thing, this seems to be, which is Venators. I have no idea what a Venator gang is. Looks like some kind of crime syndicate gang or some description. So yeah, there's the rules for Venator gangs in Necromunda for those Necromunda players of yours out there. Some more John Blanche stuff with his interesting take on 40k, and is very gritty artwork style. That building there looks like it could have been somewhere on Nurgle. It is unpleasant, and it looks like it's about to fall apart, which is quite clearly how it intended to look. It does give you a look into the mind of a complete lunatic when you see some of his stuff. He quite clearly is off his head, and in all the right ways. So that motorbike does remind me a lot of Doom Rider, the Chaos Demon prints on a motorbike from a long time ago. I wonder if any parts are actually used from it. More paint and splatter stuff, teaching you how to paint the basic stuff in GW's fashion, using the edge highlights and the glazes. More and more stuff about the Deakin guys, getting them bright oranges and blues, what they've used, and obviously the seahorses as well. That's quite an extensive section of paint splatter, even going into the Blood Bowl stuff, and some more adverts about books, etc. Readers' models. I do like to see this. It's a really nice feature. I do like to see what other people are creating, and some of the stuff on there is sublime. The Blood Angels Lieutenant in this back corner here is particularly good. That's the first one I've seen what really stuck out. So, David Deschanel, well done. That's a lovely lieutenant you've made. Good old Mortarian, can't go wrong with a paint job on him. And the Reader's Model of the Month is Primaris Librarian, painted by Riaif Al-Jababni and Yahya Al-Janabi. I do apologise for the pronunciation. I've never seen a name like that before, but no, I cannot fault your paintwork, mate. That is brilliant. Well done. And now we're going off into the little adverts and the merchandise and things. And there you have it. That's the last bit of the book for the free game. And that is 2000 May's White Dwarf, and our first look at it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me for the last half hour. And I will see you in the next one. And take it easy, guys. Take care. Bye bye.